morning, y'all. It's Timothy. It's 7 a.m. I did not get a single bit of sleep. It's okay. That was intentional. I chugged a triple shot of Monster Energy Mocha that I got around midnight. So, yeah, let's get it started, shall we? I remember being like 14 and my first fucking boyfriend at that time. I remember he was showing me the movie Pulp Fiction, and he was like, this movie's a masterpiece, you're gonna love it. And I was like, okay, sure. I like Kill Bill and all this other shit so far. Like, I'm liking Reservoir Dogs. I trusted him, he showed me that. I was like, this shit's kind of cool. And then it got to the point, you know which scene I'm gonna talk about, where he was saying, N-word this, N-word that, and it's like, why is and my ex was mad at me, because I said, why did Tarantino write into his own script that his own character says the N-word hella times? Why does it even need to be here in this scene? Like, you know the scene where he's like, why do I tell my black wife, Bonnie, that there's a dead nigger in my car? He says that. And then my ex, with his fucking bitch ass, his bitch ass. So many stories about this guy, you've already heard it. He's like, as if I'm some fucking triggered SWJ. And then he's like, because it enhances the intensity of the scene. And he rolls his eyes at me as if I'm the fucking dramatic one. Nigga, you made that whole shit awkward. Because it's like, oh wow, how dare my black girlfriend be upset, like ever so mildly confused as to why there's a slur in a scene where there don't need to be slurs, especially if the slur is specifically for black people. And his character's supposed to have a black wife, so it's like, moving on. I remember years later, I think it was like I was 16 or so, 17. I remember I was watching fucking Pulp Fiction on like FX or some channel, and they censored it. And then I remember the scene played out exactly like this. He was like, what am I supposed to tell my black wife, Bonnie, when there's a black man dead in my car? Oh wait, no. He's like, when there's a dead black man in the backseat of my car, what am I supposed to tell Bonnie? She's gonna leave me. And I was like, oh wow. See, it's almost as if it didn't change, the scene was already intense enough. The message clear, cut, and perfect. We did not need nigger this, nigger that. Also, honestly, yeah, my ex, I remember specifically I slapped him in the face once when he said nigger, because, like, he was one of those people that's like, oh, I'm not racist, but if you ask me to defend black people, I'm not gonna fucking do it. And I think everyone should be able to say slurs no matter how uncomfortable in the room everybody gets. And I should say nigga too, because as Mexican people, we were oppressed just like you. And it's like, no the fuck you weren't. Your family said that I would become your baby mama and have your baby and use you for money when I was fucking 14. And your sister would not stop telling me about how your dad banned her from dating black men because they were afraid of her dating a thug or getting her knocked up, which is so funny because they dated within their race, and guess what the fuck happened? Everyone else got fucking knocked up or got someone else knocked up and are now in unhappy marriages with toxic ass Latino men. Toxic ass Latino women. So it's like, it's just funny that they went, oh yeah, you probably are dating one of those ghetto black girls who's going to use you for money. The second they met me, they were like, okay, never mind. She's one of the good ones, but still, don't fuck her. Racist assholes. I also believe that racial solidarity is not as much as a thing anymore. Mainly because the amount of times I've been called a nigger in my lifetime, it's always been by like Latino people. So it's like I'm giving up. I've even been on dates where it's like, I remember I was talking to this one Mexican dude. He was saying nigga this, nigga that, nigga the nigga nigga. Almost every fucking 3 sentences. And I remember at some point in the night, we were just chilling talking, because he was still a pretty okay guy. But then I was like, yeah, I hate when people who aren't black say nigga. And he was like, yeah, that shit's fucked up. And I said, you've been saying nigga all night. And he's like, huh? And I said, you know what I mean? And he was like, when? And I said, like, literally, one single sentence before. What sentence? And then he just tried to gaslight me, and it's like, never mind, bitch, nigga, never mind. He was nice. He paid for my food and hotel that night. He was a sweet fella. He was also a fucking dumbass, but that's obvious. He said that he thinks COVID was created in a lab like the Twin Towers. Moving the fuck on, though. I fucking hate when people try to pull the, oh, hey, so if you're black and you have a problem with people saying nigga, you are really the racist one because you're restricting everyone else's right to be treated as an equal and to have free speech. And it's like, no, idiot. It just means I don't like y'all slurring it up very casually. I've met people who have defended nigga with an A, nigger with an R, and it's like, that's just not cool. No shit. The black person doesn't like people saying black slurs. Oh shit. It's as simple as this too. Like, imagine like if you had an Asian friend and like she was in a room, or they were in a room full of like entirely non-Asian people, and they just greeted each other with the C word. And I'm talking like everyone else in the room was saying C word this, C word that, you know which C word I'm talking about, that racist ass word. And then the Asian girl decides, hey, I kind of don't want to hang out with the people who are kind of like chanting a slur that was used against my people over and over again. Like, that's totally normal. I don't like people who try to pretend that you're the fucking... They either try to accuse you of being the bigot, which is so funny. No. Or they accuse you of being some, like, SWJ, but the whole time they're the same people that when it's like, oh yeah, you live in that part of town? It's so... suburban. They'll say, oh, actually what you just said is racist. Actually, Piedmont is actually quite diverse. You just don't know that personally because you haven't been in the area. Nigga, shut the fuck up. That area has been redlined intentionally to keep black people out. Back in, and it was so funny, that ex, that one specific ex, he went on that rant to me. It's funny because I forget if it was a few weeks before or a few weeks after. We looked up the history of Piedmont and Alameda and all the other areas in the Bay Area that were separated from fucking Oakland, and guess what we found out? It was historically redlined to keep out specifically black people. They said, we don't want to give money to their schools or their communities or anything of theirs. We want it to be our separate place. So if you're ever in Oakland and you just like go to one of these like Piedmont or Emeryville and you're like, why is it so nice out of here but not the other areas? You know fucking why. They segregated us for a fucking reason intentionally. It's legal segregation in a nutshell. And also, back to that metaphor about Asian people. Like, if your Asian friend was like, hi, you keep saying, like, all these, like, why do you keep calling each other C words? It's making me uncomfortable, and I don't really want to be in a vibe where I have to hear a slur over and over and over and over and over again, especially in a room full of people who are not of that race. And then you try to pull the, oh, well, I heard you call your friend that. That doesn't mean anyone else can say it. Like, for the same reasons that you, like, you can call your friend an asshole. But if you go up to a random stranger and say, hey, fucking asshole, they're not gonna respond well. The same reason you can call your friend, like, hey, bitch, and they'll be like, hey, bitch. But if you're a nigga and you're like, what's up, bitch? She's gonna get offended. It's like, because they don't know you like that. You are not a part of that circle and you are not cool. And if anything, whenever people are like, ooh, whenever people try to pull the reverse racism card and say they're oppressed because they can't use a word that's been used specifically to oppress people, it's so funny. Because guaranteed, you make a joke about them, suddenly they're slurring it up too. They're going to call you all types of demonic ass words. They're going to be like pulling shit out that hasn't been said since the early 1800s. Early 1800s, 1900s, early 2000s. They're pulling out all the creative ass shit you can think of. Like, the second anything even slightly pisses them off. But oh, they're oppressed because they can't say nigga. Meanwhile, those same people will talk shit about you, will say they're better than you, would not let you date any member of their family, and would treat you like shit. That's funny. Anyway, goodbye.